I grew up in a quote-unquote small town called Herning, and growing up here isn't always easy when you have like these creative dreams or dreams of becoming some sort of artist in a way. In my experience, where I come from, there's like a certain way of doing things. You have to get an education, and then you have to find a job, and then you have to like make a family. And that's sort of the only choice you have. So for me as a creative person, it was a bit difficult to come forward to my family saying, hey, I have this dream that I want to pursue. I want to become a musician. I want to write songs. And preferably, I'd like to do it my whole life. On my first trip out there in the world as a musician, I went to a songwriting camp in Aarhus called Aarhus Calling. And I was still quite young. I think I was 17 or 18 at the time. And being surrounded by all these creative minds was just very like humbling or very mind-blowing in a way. But another youngster came over to me and was like super kind to me, and we just instantly connected. That guy is Emil from Holland, whom I wrote A Part of You with later on.
See your son turn into something, but he'll always be a part of you.
And around a year later, after the first meetup we had, I went to Holland with a friend of mine from Denmark to meet up with Emil and his friend Andreev from Holland. I think it was in the early winter or something, because it was freezing cold in Amsterdam. And when it wasn't freezing cold, it was heavily raining. So it was just like, that set the scene for that camp. And one of the first nights, it was in Emil's bedroom, where he also had a studio. There was like an angled window, and it was at some point raining so like heavily that we couldn't even like talk to each other or write music for that matter. So we decided to try and take advantage of the situation, and we recorded a memo or a couple memos of the rain pouring down on that window. And those samples sort of like set the scene, as I said, for the bunch of songs that we wrote on that camp. So every time I hear the beginning of A Part of You, where you can actually hear that rain, it just takes me back instantly to that moment when we wrote it.
That sample itself, it just takes me back to the situation that Reumert was living in, the time I was living, how young I was, and learning, and it's just very nostalgic. I think I just have the memories and the moments. Yeah, they are really stuck in that song.
Yeah.
But it's also, of course, a special message to my mom as well, and for both of us, it was something we wanted to share with them.
And on the night we wrote A Part of You, we had been like up for what felt like 1.5 days, and everyone was so tired. But Emil and I was so energized and hyped about like just being back together and writing songs again. So at 5 or 6 in the morning, we started writing A Part of You. We sat in opposite sides of his bed with just an acoustic guitar. And then for 10, 15, 20 minutes, I was just playing a riff, and Emil was just like humming these melody ideas and stuff. And then at some point we had the exact same idea, and we almost said it out loud at the same time, that we want to write a song about our moms. And that was really surreal, because we hadn't talked about that earlier. So it was just like meant to be in a way. I feel like the song was like already there. We just had to write it down and put it into words and melodies. With a lot of other songs, it's like, how can we make this melody a tiny bit more like catchy and beautiful and so, and that wasn't the case with A Part of You. It felt like it was there. We just had to like bring it to life.
One more.
Friend. Nej, de tænkte over den.
And I was so hyped about the song that the first thing I did when I came back home to Denmark was to take the song to my partner, Fred Miller, in Copenhagen. But normally he's like, yeah, scratch that song, or like we can do this and that with that song, and then it eventually maybe can be something. But with this song, A Part of You, he just fell in love instantly and immediately, just like Emil and I did. And so at that point, we just knew this song is going to be something special in this project. We knew from that moment that this was going to be like a cornerstone of the project and that this was the song to like achieve in future songwriting for us. That instant love kind of feeling. So when I came back to Copenhagen at Fred's studio, we recorded my vocal on it and we listened back and forth to it like for a couple months and maybe a half a year. And then we got together and decided this is not good enough. We wanted to be perfect, so we tried it again. And once again, it wasn't good enough. And so over the years, we tried a lot of different things, different styles of recording the song, but it just never really was the kind of perfect that we wanted it. It had to be like imperfectly perfect in a way. That I know that's a cliche, but that's what we wanted it to be.
Der mangler lidt søje, synes jeg. Eller noget kætter eller der.
It's been a lot of back and forth getting the song to where it is today, and yet it sounds pretty much the same as the original demo, which is quite funny for a song that's been like alive for 5 years.
Vi lavede den i 19, og du begyndte at kigge på den i 20. Så det er der. Det var en god slap bass. Det kan godt være, at vi skal have lavet den igen. Det eneste der er, det er om nogle steder... Jeg tror, guitaren er god. Den har vi indspillet 3 gange. Det glæder mig.
As I said, Fred instantly fell in love, and I was eager to show my mom the song as well, obviously. And she actually had heard like a snip of the song before with Emil's vocals on and without a real explanation of what the song was. But the first time I showed it with my vocals on, it was a very emotional moment. I told her, Mom, this is like my song to you and Emil's song to his mother. I couldn't even look her in the eyes because I was like a nerve wreck of just showing her the song. And then the song was done and I turned around and my mom was just like standing up, ready to hug me. And we had like a special mom-son moment at the time. And that meant a lot to me, and that's something I'll never forget. I've always been a person who shows my emotions and feelings through music. So that was my way of saying I love you, Mom. When I was a young kid, we had this garage that we weren't really using. So I asked her if I could like rebuild it into a studio. And at that time, I didn't have any income from making music or anything. It was still just like a dream. But she wasn't even like hesitating. She was just like, all right, well, show me a plan of how you want to do it and we'll look at it. So that's another thing that just emphasizes the support that she's always showed me. Another funny thing is that the first guitar that I got, which is actually this one, the first guitar that I got is my mom's old guitar. And that's the guitar I learned how to play on the first time, and the guitar I wrote the first songs on, and I still have it laying around nearby the studio so that I can record stuff on it. And we were actually talking about recording a part of you on this, but it ended up being an electric guitar, obviously. But yeah, love you, Mom, and don't forget to let your mom know that you love her.
But he'll always be a part of you.